think there's a thingy over here somewhere.
A thingy?
A door. Come on.
So the Forbidden Door is open. On the February 3rd, 2021 episode of AEW Dynamite, Kenta made his first appearance for All Elite Wrestling, and it marked the first time a New Japan Pro Wrestling star stepped into an AEW ring. But what does this mean? Well, first it means I need a new pair of shorts. Yes, I'm excited. Very excited. With this angle and Dave Meltzer's report of an AEW New Japan working relationship, we are likely going to see far more crossover between the two best wrestling companies in the world. In this video, I'm going to take a look at what we as fans can look forward to. But first, some context. AEW launched when The Elite, the Elite, and Tony Khan came together after the success of the mega indie show All In. Everyone involved wanted to maintain a working relationship with New Japan, but the other side wasn't so keen. This led to some very hard feelings on both sides.
We were depressed, it was sad, but we were moving on to this new big thing, but it felt like we didn't get the closure that we deserved.
Yeah.
It's like we were just sitting there like we didn't want to leave, because like once we leave, we walk out those doors. That's it.
A wrap.
This is our New Japan career. Maybe that's the last time we'll ever do it.
And as more time passed, it seemed this was the product of then New Japan president Harold May. Reports stated that people on both sides thought a deal would get done much easier without May in the picture. Sure enough, he leaves the company, and just a few months later, we have a relationship. So thanks, Harold. Don't let that Forbidden Door hit you on the way out. There were still a couple of AEW stars working for New Japan, though. One was the very not political Chris Jericho, who appeared at Wrestle Kingdom 14 with the AEW World Championship, and the other was old Johnny D. Good, Jon Moxley. Moxley won the IWGP United States title for the second time at Wrestle Kingdom 14, and after a super special awesome chocolatey-covered rivalry with Minoru Suzuki, the pandemic forced Moxley to remain stateside. Could New Japan have just stripped Moxley of the title? Sure. WWE did that with Sami Zayn and the Intercontinental title, but New Japan doesn't operate like them, and I don't want to talk about that company today. Without injury or missing a scheduled defense, there is no justification for Moxley to lose the title, so it sat on Moxley's shelf and collected dust. Time goes by and Kenta becomes #1 contender, and after even more time, Moxley jumped him on NJPW Strong. A match between them was set for the New Beginning in USA, and then finally, Kenta appeared on AEW TV. Now that the history lesson is over, let's talk about the fun stuff, and I mean the really fun stuff. First of all, Moxley wrestling for New Japan again is the result of the pandemic, as he would have just dropped the title in Japan otherwise. So thank you, Mr. Pandemic. Very kind of you. Can we have all those lives back now? But what this means is it seems AEW has loosened their restrictions on their stars wrestling for other major promotions in the States. This is why Chris Jericho couldn't wrestle at the G1 Supercard in Madison Square Garden, and why Moxley couldn't work the G1 Climax show in Dallas, Texas in 2019. This won't mean as much during the pandemic, as New Japan isn't running major shows in the US right now. But when fans are back, ooh-wee, the possibilities. G1 Supercard with AEW this time? Yes, please. But the possibilities do not stop there. And I could go on and on about the things that we could see. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Let's start with the big gun, Kenny Omega. Omega has the richest history with New Japan of anyone on the AEW roster, with the bulk of his career taking place in the promotion. Whether it's his epic rivalry with Kazuchika Okada, or his emotional storyline with Kota Ibushi, or even his time as leader of Bullet Club, there is so much history to pull from in a potential crossover. When the pandemic is over and there is a full building, imagine the lights go out after an Omega match on Dynamite, and all you hear is Excalibur saying, "Oh, well, it seems we're having some sort of technical difficulties here. Hopefully we can get them resolved quickly." And then... a fifth Omega Okada match is the biggest box office match you could put on outside of WWE. If you book this match in the United States, you could sell at a stadium, or Madison Square Garden, or wherever you choose to book it. That's not an exaggeration, by the way. Given how many people tried to get tickets for Double or Nothing, All Out, the first Dynamite, this isn't a far-fetched idea. Business aside, we could get another one of these matches and just... Omega vs. Okada 4 is the best match many people, myself included, have ever seen. And to see it one more time, you can bet your ass I would be there. Same goes for the fabled Omega vs. Kota Ibushi match we still haven't gotten after all these years. Their G1 Climax match in 2018 was just a sample, but I want the whole meal, damn it! This would likely be a match that happens on a big New Japan stage, but to see this rivalry continue would be the ultimate closure of one of the longest, most emotional, and unique storylines in history. Could have seen it at Wrestle Kingdom 14. Thanks, Harold! Yeah, in case you didn't know, the original plan for Wrestle Kingdom 14 was for Omega to hold the IWGP Heavyweight Championship until the big event in 2020, where he would finally face Kota Ibushi in the Tokyo Dome. Omega left the company in 2019, and the match never happened. So now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go cry myself to sleep. Now switching gears, one thing I would be most looking forward to would be the exchange of young talent, or in New Japan's case, Young Lions. New Japan has done a fantastic job with their Young Lions system over the years, churning out stars like Okada, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Master Wado. One of these things is not like the other, but they could stand to benefit from sending talent on excursion to a company that's a little bit more not Ring of Honor. Imagine Yota Tsuji, Yuya Uemura, Shota Umino, or Clark Connors feuding with the TNT champion, or honing their characters on AEW Dark before making their way back to Japan, having performed on a larger stage to be viewed by more people than in places like ROH, CMLL, or Rev Pro. Shota Umino in particular is someone I would love to see in AEW. Not only is he one of the best young wrestlers in the world and one of my personal favorites, but he also has a history with Jon Moxley. Look at them together in the G1 Climax in 2019. Look at him! So innocent as he flips off the camera. Ugh, I love him. On the other side, if AEW doesn't have anything for a team like Top Flight, they could send them to Japan for a tour, or even have them compete in the Best of the Super Juniors or the Super Junior Tag League. Everyone would win in this scenario, and speaking of the Best of the Super Juniors, look at all the people AEW could send to Japan for tournaments! Just imagine Miro or Pac in the G1 Climax, Darby Allin or Rey Fenix in the Best of the Super Juniors, the Dark Order, SCU or Santana and Ortiz in World Tag League. The possibilities are endless and they are all exciting. I don't think we'd be able to see the tippy-top guys like Kenny Omega wrestling in these tournaments, given how long they'd have to be away from Dynamite, but this would give so many stars opportunities to expand their horizons and have some kick-ass matches. And now I would like to list some dream matches that could now feasibly happen between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling stars. The Elite vs. Bullet Club in a Blood and Guts match. The pandemic stole the Blood and Guts match from us, and it is only right for them to give it back in full. We never really got a resolution to the Bullet Club Civil War in 2019. The Guerrillas of Destiny had a great match with the Young Bucks, but that's as much as we ever got out of it. Now, give me Omega, Young Bucks, and Good Brothers against Jay White, Kenta, God, and Bad Luck Fale, and do it in the double cage. Darby Allin versus Hiromu Takahashi. This match would be like if two members of Jackass wiped each other out in a wrestling ring. Wait a minute. Oh. Two members of Jackass did get wiped out in a wrestling ring. Alright, fair enough. Orange Cassidy versus Tetsuya Naito. The match to see who could possibly give less of a shit. Orange Cassidy versus Minoru Suzuki. Another match that the pandemic completely robbed us all of. And I will never forgive the pandemic for taking this from all of us. Kenny Omega versus Shingo Takagi. Pitting, in my opinion, the two most dynamic performers in all of professional wrestling against each other for the very first time. What a classic this would be. Oh my god. Penta L0M versus Minoru Suzuki. Two crazy, sadistic bastards having a fight. If this is anything like Suzuki's match with Jon Moxley from last year, sign me up for seconds and thirds as well. John Silver versus Toru Yano. It would make me laugh, and if you're being honest, you know it would make you laugh too.
Wow, what a handsome hunk.
Jon Moxley versus Zack Sabre Jr. Fuck you, pandemic, haven't you stolen enough from us? Look at this contrast in styles. With Moxley being at the top of his class for the last 2 years, just take my money already. Eddie Kingston versus Tomohiro Ishii. Do I even need to explain this one? Pac versus Kota Ibushi. This could really be Pac against anyone because Pac is just amazing, but give me a match against Kota Ibushi because we've never seen these two go at it before. These two seem incapable of having bad matches, so put them together. Let's see what happens. Rey Fenix versus Will Ospreay. You want to see the next generation version of Ospreay versus Ricochet? A match with Fenix may be even more insane. Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay. There are still a lot of opponents for Jericho to face in New Japan, such as Suzuki, Ishii, and Ibushi, but a match with Will Ospreay just looks like a fun, old veteran versus young high flyer match to me. Cody Rhodes versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Cody has come a long way as a ring general since he arrived in New Japan in 2017. Who better to truly test himself against than the ace and one of the great workers in the history of the business? Plus, these two are arguably the faces of their respective promotions and could be the best representatives of each company. MJF versus Jay White. Who are you gonna cheer for in this match? I don't know, but I would still love to see it. Brian Cage versus Jeff Cobb. Haas fight! Haas fight! Hangman Page versus Kota Ibushi. This match has happened before, and it was fantastic then too. Now with Hangman being a much more complete performer, and the added emotion involved with both serving as the former partners of Kenny Omega, there is so much fun stuff that could be done here. And finally, Jon Moxley versus Kazuchika Okada. They've kept these two apart since Moxley arrived in New Japan, save for a tag match here or there, and one could argue that they are both the greatest champions in the history of their companies. I think this one is almost a certainty, and I cannot wait to see it. Whew. There are so many combinations from these two companies, and I would love to see them all. This is a very exciting time to be a fan of either AEW or New Japan. Beyond just the dream matches and the exciting storylines, this continues to demonstrate the tremendous growth and progress of the wrestling business. Right now, there is an interconnected web of promotions involving AEW, New Japan, Impact, Ring of Honor, NWA, Rev Pro, AAA, and CMLL, among a few others. I don't think those last two will like it very much as they don't really get along, but they likely won't play into this much anyway. Regardless, these are many of the top promotions in the world. With the exception of WWE, All Japan Pro Wrestling, and Noah, it's pretty much a complete list. How much all of these companies will intermingle remains to be seen, and we won't know for sure until the pandemic is over. But for now, we can sit back, full of hope, with visions of Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi dancing through our head. Hi guys, Tempest the Wrestler here. I wasn't expecting this to be the first video to go up on this channel, but still, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell to stay notified, and make sure that you follow me on Twitter @TempestWT so you get all the updates on when I'm posting new videos to this channel. I would like to make this a more regular thing, so make sure that you're notified so you can see every one of them. That's about it for me. Bye-bye.